For today's cup of coffee, I'm going to be slurping the coffees all the way through because it's been a very long day and I sound like I'm drunk and I'm not. Maybe that would help me not slur at this point in the day.
I think you should stick to the coffee.
Later, coffee with rhyme. But no, it's just...
Red Bulls. Drink you a Red Bull.
When you're shopping for two households... And then
it gets complicated.
It does get complicated. And when you have to go through so many stores because one store has a different price on one thing, one has a different price on another thing. Especially if you're...
Competitive pricing.
If you're a carnivore. If you're a carnivore these days, my God, you have to really check those, sales flyers each week.
Yeah.
Same thing for and same thing for those who drink sodas and stuff. We actually don't drink that many sodas.
Not anymore.
I like the coffees. I actually don't drink enough fluids, period.
I'm running on like Red Bull and Monster today.
I got some more coffee creamers, so sugar free. Sure. Actually, 'cause zero sugar. The zero sugar is better than the sugar free because some reason those things still have corn syrup solids. That sounds like a form of sugar to me.
Yes.
So I don't understand how that does. I know that it does have an effect on the glucose levels. This has nothing to do with today's cup of coffee, but it does explain the slurring. So that's my disclaimer about myself today.
Drink a Red Bull. I just function on energy drinks. I function a lot better.
Oh, I do
with
too.
Energy drinks.
I do too, unless I drink them daily, and then it's like I build up a tolerance or something.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
And then that's not cool. So then you have to take a couple of days off, and you're like, well, that's it. There's nothing. You might as well that's crash and burn day.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow. So
that's tonight.
Today's topic is lack of brain function.
We should have just done a freeform one today.
I don't have enough brain to do the freeform.
We just talk about the day.
No.
Yes.
I'd rather not. Just move on to the next one.
It's called therapy.
No, I do that usually. Except for the month of May, and it's like the schedules just collided horribly. No, it was okay. I wasn't in crisis, so
I've
it's
had
all good.
2 weeks without therapy, and I'm all right with it.
Yeah, well, but after that, you're like, oh God, nothing horrible blew up. So, but I could have called mine if I needed to.
Yeah.
Today's topic comes from Ripley's Believe It or Not, and is by Michela Pantano, and was written January the 19th, 2021. And the title of the article is... Not R.
The title R is that.
Theories.
It has been your birthday.
Theories Evermore surrounding Edgar Allan Poe's death. Now, Edgar Allan Poe is a favorite of mine and many others.
Yeah. I mean, he's an icon.
He is. He really is. And that little sad portrait of him, that is just, yeah.
You had a poster.
I do have a poster somewhere, but we need to redo the frame. Hint, hint, hint.
It will be done eventually.
Anyhow, Miss Pantano writes, I shouldn't have said miss in this day and time, I don't know. Not trying to screw up anybody's self-awareness. Anyhow, both...
Are you good?
No. Both sensitive and macabre, literary pioneer Edgar Allan Poe played a very large role in developing the horror, science fiction, and detective story genres, paving the way for fictional characters like Nancy Drew to Sherlock Holmes. Charles Baudelaire, I had to look up how to say that because I wasn't familiar. He was a poet. And Salvador Dali were heavily influenced by Poe's themes and aesthetics. And Alfred Hitchcock.
Hip-hop.
Alfred Hitchcock. Oh my God. That's the modern day version. Alfred Hip-Hop. That would be great. Alfred Hitchcock even gives him credit for inspiring him to make his suspenseful films.
Loves it.
Upon his death, Poe was buried unceremoniously in an unmarked grave in Baltimore, but was dug up 26 years later to be moved to the site of a statue to honor his legacy.
Nice.
And that's exactly what needed to happen to the man. It says, while Poe was a regular when it came to creating suspense and curating endings to be left for interpretation, little did he know that his own life would end in a similar fate, plastered with questions and unknowns. It seems fitting yet cryptic that the man of mystery's death still remains a mystery. What was the cause of Poe's untimely death? That question remains up for debate to this day. And I will say this, the writers on the Ripleys, believe it or not, they're good.
Oh yeah,
they really are good. One of the theories, death by brain tumor. And says the most recent and realistic theory of Poe's death suggests he died of a brain tumor, which could have played a role in his behavior leading up to his death. When he was dug up for transportation to his new memorial, there wasn't much left to his deceased body besides bone. In transport, a worker happened to notice an unusual mass rolling inside of Poe's skull. At the time of discovery,
his brain is shriveled up into a walnut.
At the time of discovery, newspapers claimed that the clump was actually Poe's brain that had shriveled up, yet stayed intact after almost 3 decades underground. American author Matthew Pearl, who wrote a novel about Poe's death, was intrigued by the clump. He contacted a forensic pathologist who confirmed that the clump couldn't be a brain. However, it's possible that it was a tumor. Tumors can calcify after death into hard masses, while the brain is one of the first parts of the body to disintegrate.
Huh.
I thought that was pretty interesting right there.
Yeah.
Another theory, death by seizures. Which
could have been caused by the tumor.
It could have. Due to Poe's substance abuse, another likely cause of his death was the result of a severe seizure. Researchers have speculated a possible misdiagnosis at the time of his death, as complex partial seizures were not well understood or known during this time period. Poe also may have suffered from complex partial epilepsy, a disease fueled and complicated by his addiction. Poe wrote many tales based on characters with episodic unconsciousness, confusion, and paranoia, paralleling many of his own experiences throughout his life.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of people over history that could have had some kind of medical condition that they had no knowledge of.
Yeah.
There's people today that could have a medical condition there's no knowledge of. Yeah. We don't know that we don't know. Another theory, death by beating. In 1867, biographer E. Oakes Smith wrote in her article, Autobiographic Notes, Edgar Allan Poe, that, quote, at the instigation of a woman who considered herself injured by him, he was cruelly beaten, blow upon blow, by a ruffian who knew of no better mode of avenging supposed injuries. It is well known that a brain fever followed, end quote. This and many other accounts have mentioned that Poe was beaten senseless before his death. In another 1872 article, The Grave of Poe, written by somebody whose name I'm going to butcher, Didier, D-I-D-I-E-R, Didier, it is said that while in Baltimore, Poe ran into friends from West Point.
Eugene.
No, it's Eugene.
Eugene.
I've never heard of Eugene.
Didier.
Anyhow.
Eugene Diddler. There we go.
Poe ran into friends from West Point.
It works.
Who he joined for drinks. They've totally got me offline here. He got madly drunk off a single glass of champagne and began to wander the streets. In his drunken state, he was, quote, robbed and beaten by ruffians and left insensible in the street all night, end quote. That's just tragic.
That's
tragic even if it wasn't Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Then another theory, this is the one that most people had, heard of, and that was death by alcoholism. It's no hidden fact that abuse was extremely present in Poe's life, but it's also been reported that he wasn't exactly the best when it came to handling his drinks. He would become belligerently drunk off a single glass of wine, a possible hereditary trait, as his sister had a similar problem. Now, I think that's very odd.
It must have been some strong-ass wine.
Well, no, I mean, there had to be some kind of condition for that to happen. I mean, seriously. Many theorists believe a death by drinking demise for Poe, but samples of Poe's hair from after his death show low levels of lead, which is an indication that Poe remained faithful to his vow of sobriety up until his demise. So ponder on that while I take a sip of coffee. That means talk.
I mean, it's fast. Holy death by voter fraud!
Wait, we haven't got to that. Wait, don't skip ahead.
I just saw that. I'm like, what the?
You looking at my notes? You peeping off my notes?
I sure as hell am.
All I wanted was a sip of coffee. All right, another theory: death by rabies.
Now, how the hell? The crow.
Researchers,
the raven.
At least it wasn't owls. Researcher Dr. Michael Bennett believes that Poe was not drunk upon leaving a bar on Lombard Street wearing someone else's soiled clothes. After Poe entered the hospital, he was heavily perspiring, hallucinating, and shouting at imaginary companions. He later grew confused and belligerent before eventually passing in the hospital. Dr. Bennett ties these behaviors and symptoms to a classic case of rabies. Rabies victims frequently resist drinking water out of fear that it will be painful to swallow. For the brief period Poe was awake and oriented in the hospital's care, he refused water with great effort.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows the rabies? He obviously got bitten by something. Or not. Who knows? And then
Maybe he was a carrier.
And then the last theory that they propose, death by voter fraud. Which is very timely in today's world. It says the most heavily speculated cause of Edgar Allan Poe's death was a means of cooping. In the 19th century, corrupt politicians paid gangs to kidnap unsuspecting victims, disguise them, and force them to vote for a specific candidate multiple times in different outfits. Sound familiar? And it says that if the victims did not comply, they were beaten or forced to chug liquor.
Oh my God.
During this time, election ballots were often stolen and judges were bribed. Sound familiar? The practice of cooping was, unfortunately, very common in Baltimore.
Sound familiar?
Yes. During election periods. It's the more things
Modern day
change, the more they stay the same. It is believed that Poe was a victim of this behavior. He was found on election day by his friend, Dr. Joseph Snodgrass, on the street near Ryan's Fourth Ward polls, which was both an Irish pub and a place of voting. Now, do you really want to be voting in a pub? Really?
Yes, a lot of drunk assholes.
Well,
a lot of drunk assholes voting at the same time.
But the thing is, you've got drunken assholes that are leading the country right now.
We have a man that's shitting himself leading the country right now.
Well, he ain't leading nothing. Somebody's puppeting him.
They want my butt.
Yeah, really.
They want my butt.
Snodgrass found him in a severely drunken state, wearing cheap clothes that didn't fit and were not his usual style. He was rushed to the hospital, slipping in and out of consciousness. He died a few days later, reportedly uttering the last words, "Lord help my poor soul." God love him. So, of these possible reasons or theories that Poe could have, his death, what do you think is the most plausible one?
I mean, they found a tumor in his head.
Right.
So that could have caused, a lot of issues.
Yeah, I think that that's probably that, you know, even as far as the hallucinations, it could have caused the seizures. It could have caused, you know, even the intolerance for alcohol. Mm-hmm. Strange behavior with that. So, yeah, I mean, you know, the perspiring, hallucinating, all that stuff. And he very well could have had all that going on and had, you know, somebody beat him up. Totally tragic. Totally tragic. But even as far as whatever was going on in his world, you know, the beauty that came from suffering. Yeah. Because of the poetry and the stories and stuff like that. And that happens quite frequently in artistic endeavors, be they, you know, writing or
a lot of amazing
painting or anything, suffering.
Comes from dark times in people's lives.
Music, that's another thing that, you know. Mm-hmm. So this is people trying to process. That is a much healthier way to process, you know, dark emotions than some of the other things.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people turn substance abuse and different things like that. That doesn't do anything except compound the problem.
No.
And you have nothing left except regret. At least these people with the writing and the music and the art and stuff, there is something for that period of their journey.
Yeah.
To show. Talk while I sip coffee.
I mean, it's just like, it's funny that there's so many similarities in all the stories, but such conflicting detail. It's like, how was that not documented well enough?
Because a lot of
you would think
these
medical
things,
records would be kept.
Oh no, not during that period of time.
Properly.
They did keep some of them, but, and I'm wondering, he was well known. I don't know that he was necessarily well liked, and I did not research this, so if I'm in error, forgive me. But it seems like he also published. He may have scrutinized other people's writing, which did not make him that popular.
No, obviously it would not.
But to me, the brain...
Was it valid scrutiny?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was.
So, everybody has assholes.
Well, it's just one of those things
like
that...
opinions.
There are ways that people can critique others that can be beneficial. And then there are ways that are not beneficial. And so I don't remember. I should have, if I had known we were going down this vein, I would have gotten a source on this. I don't think that he was an asshole towards these people. I think it was just a matter of him saying this is the writing style and this is where it needs, you know, help.
Right.
And it's like,
well,
sometimes you have to.
There is such a thing as productive criticism.
But even if it's not productive, it's one of those, sometimes you need to sort of humble yourself and go back and really think about what the person was saying and whether it had validity or not. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody's calling you ugly names, even that, sometimes you have to brush that aside. I don't think he called people ugly names.
Maybe that's why his stuff never caught on back then, because, you know, he did critique others.
Actually, it was, like I said, it wasn't as... I don't know that he was as renowned then as he is today. Because, like you said, he became an icon.
Yeah.
Everybody knows... Well, most everybody knows who he was. People have heard of the Raven. They may have heard of the, you know, the Telltale Heart or the Black Cat or something like that. Pit and the Pendulum. But there's a vast, you know, collection of his work that people have never heard of.
Yeah.
Because they really don't take the time to sit and read through it all. I've not read through it all.
Was he the same one that made turning the screw?
Oh, God, no. That was, I can't think of that man's name. Oh, my God. That was Henry James.
Oh, God.
It was 121 pages of pure hell. He had a paragraph that would go on for days. And by the end of it, you're like, what the hell was he supposed, what was the point? I mean, and then you would have to go back and reread, and it's still, and maybe it was ADHD brain. I don't know.
Like Joan Crawford in Straight Jacket. It was hell. 23 years, pure hell.
I never read anything else by Henry James ever.
I will never read it.
And you may like it better than I did. It was that style of writing, and even as far as Edgar Allan Poe, because people spoke differently and wrote differently, and in a lot of ways were more intelligent or more educated than people today, there were words that when I was in high school and stuff and started reading some of his things, because The Raven you didn't need a dictionary for, but some of the other ones you do. So I would sit there and it's like, I don't understand this word. What do? You look it up so that you do understand the word.
It's a great way of learning.
I had an English teacher now she was a hard ass, and I asked her one time, she made me cry. I said, why? Why are you so hard on me? And she said, because I know you can do better.
And it's like,
and that just totally changed my understanding and my perception of her. I thought she hated me. Yeah.
Did you tell her that you thought that she hated you?
Yeah.
So she didn't hate you. She just wanted you to succeed.
Yes, because I have had a long history of people doing the drill sergeant thing with me. I don't know why. Apparently, they think that that's what I need or whatever. But
maybe that's what you respond to.
She would say, and it was the very thing, she said, before you can own a word, you have to know how to pronounce it, how to spell it, and how to use it. And that was wise.
Yeah.
Like I said, she was highly upset that I didn't go into journalism.
You would have done good at it.
Maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Can you imagine if I had been a political journalist or something like that?
That's big money right there. But like, that's a brutal industry. You would be cussing people out left and right, assault charges.
It is a brutal industry, and it's like, no, that's, why would you want to do that?
Damn.
As far as writing, there was a time that,
I mean, you have the talent. You can write books.
At this point, honey, I can't hardly write a shopping list. There's certain days, my world just went in different directions, and that's okay. Because, damn, I have not been bored. That's one thing that nobody could say I was ever
bored. You like
bored.
Lewis Carroll makeup shit.
Oh, I don't have to make it up. People, we can tell people and have told people through these videos some of our experiences.
That is true.
And some of them are sitting there going, they're just crazy, and that's okay.
Some people's lives
are
weird.
We have the receipts. We have the different documentation and all that stuff. We have witnesses.
We have witnesses upon witnesses upon receipts upon receipts.
Yeah. Bags full of documentation on stuff. Yep. So. But anyhow, God love him. Edgar Allan Poe is just...
But he will forever be adored and loved. As an icon.
Yeah, and that is my version, as far as hardcore goth. It is that beauty. It is that seeing beauty in things that other people find grotesque.
Well, that's the whole point of goth.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a place for misfits.
Yeah.
Just like punk.
And if you look at his little face, I mean, his face is sort of askew. I mean, it just, the bone structure and the way that the face was off center and everything.
Pitiful.
He did. I mean, he had a very somber, sad look. Yeah. Because I'd say that he probably was.
Well, yeah.
So.
You can't write stuff like that and be in a good headspace.
No. No, you sure can't. Telltale Heart. Black Cat. Those are some really...
Yeah.
Murders in the Rue Morgue. That was one of the first detective stories.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Stuff somebody up a chimney. Not really. So,
Don't be like the dipshit who got stuck in the chimney and died in there.
oh God, there's been several people that did that. You know, how many times to sit there and go, okay, my body is this wide, and I'm going to try to stuff it into a space this wide.
That's like me trying to fit into a size 30 jean.
Lord, I don't know. Hey, at least in a size 30 jean, you can still move your arms. Anyhow, our battery be dwindling, baby. This is going with my battery along with the camera battery. So, if you've had experiences with the paranormal, supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, if you'd like to share your favorite Edgar Allan Poe writing, if you've got local, regional, family myths, legends, any of that stuff, you can put those in the comments, or you can email us, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com, and the email address is in the description box. And in case I didn't say it, the link to the article will also be in the description box. Yes. Very well written, very enjoyable.
And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all. Have a good. We love you all.
Absolutely. Know that you are loved.
Yes.
And we'll see you on the next cut.
Bye.
Bye.